I done been here for a minute. When the fuck this shit gon' finish? I done worked since like 11, maybe 12, but I can't remember. Probably cause a motherfucker smoke too much, cause I know too much. Could you hold my cup? What would you do if I died today? Probably just smoke up and ride away. If I could see it, I'd devise the plan. Probably overanalyze it, damn. I can't even recognize you, bitch. I done got too fucking high, you bitch. Shit, that's a problem. If you got solutions, you can fucking.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your dude Superb.
Oh, Tom.
Baby Missile.
And we got another episode of MC2MC, man. First thing first, I actually wanted to talk about the shooting that happened today at Green Hills, man. A few kids killed, a few teachers.
I think it was 3 and 3.
Yeah, 3 and 3. And
the suspect was killed.
Yes.
Like a 26 or
28-year-old woman. Very unfortunate. It's a crazy thing, man. It's literally like about what?
It's like 10 minutes down the road.
Down the road from here.
Dylan actually called me when it was to make sure I wasn't at the gym, just because how close it is.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, man. This kind of shit's got to stop, dude. I mean, the kids are the future, bro. Mm-hmm. I don't see what would drive any person to cause harm to the youth for whatever reasons or personal reasons you would have to do something like that. So I think it's a very sad story, and it's just crazy that it's happening around the country in general, man. I don't know how you really fix things like this. I mean, just better security, man. I don't know, better self-awareness.
Hire veterans.
Yeah. Very unfortunate. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that since that happened today. Before we go into this JPEGMAFIA and Danny Brown review, man. That shit's wild. Yeah, let me.
I've never heard an album more appropriately named.
Yeah, no, for sure. Scaring the Hoes. This project will definitely do that. This is there is not one single booty bopper on here for a lady. Yeah, I don't know. Let's get into it, man.
That's the kind of girl I want. Someone who can twerk to JPEGMAFIA.
Yeah, that's
my
a keeper.
ideal girl
That's
right
a keeper
there.
for sure.
Damn.
She can do that. First track, Lean Beef Patty. We know that was a single beforehand, so that's been like racking up numbers.
Yeah.
Weird ass song. I really don't know how I feel about it. It's very strange. Which is what I got on the first initial listen of this thing as we listened earlier. I didn't really know what to take away. I hate that my hearts are going on Spotify. That really fucks with me.
They're still
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, it's still going.
Damn.
I do think that from the ones I do remember, that Kingdom Hearts feat Redville.
Yeah.
That one that had like I think that was the one with like the shoegazy kind
Yeah.
of. That shit was rad. Really, that whole stretch really kind of that last song too, Where You Get Your Coke From.
I also think, a lot of it, I think once those songs stood out to you because you were into that headspace, because you were listening to it too. I have that a lot with these kind of albums. It's where halfway through you're starting to get what it is, so like you kind of jive with the songs more, and then by the third time you listen to this shit, you're gonna fucking love all of it. Like I've had that with a lot of JPEGMAFIA stuff. This is about what I expected. It's JPEGMAFIA. If you weren't into JPEGMAFIA before this, you're not gonna like it. Yeah, I think this is definitely the most exposure he's got on an album, which I think is cool because Danny Brown's on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. This is right up my alley. This is like the shit I like. So,
Where do you feel like it? Nah, I don't want to go there with that question just yet. I feel like that too much of a conclusive question. Do you know any of the backstory on this thing, how it came together?
I know that they're friends in real life. They hang out a lot, and I think they were just hanging out. And I know Danny Brown's been in that experimental hip hop industrial kind of shit for a while. So it's just a match made in heaven to me. This is exactly who I would want JPEG to work with. Just makes sense.
I feel,
And they share fan bases. People who are going to be in
Yes.
Danny Brown's music is going to be in the JPEG Mafia's music, and vice versa. So,
I see that. Yes.
Yeah.
They very similar worlds.
and if they go on tour, better believe I'm there. It's going to be wild.
Oh, that's a guarantee.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if they come to Nashville, whoo, I'm there.
Guarantee.
Guarantee.
Pre-order.
Yes. Yeah, I've been wanting to see JPEG Mafia anyway.
Showing up early.
Yeah, I missed when Death Grips came through last time, and I regret that.
Can
so.
you this is what I want you to do, because I'm not as
well versed?
well versed in the world of Danny Brown and JPEG. I've heard things, and I where do you rank them amongst cultural impact? Is it strong, heavy? Like,
I think
is it niche?
no, it's not for everyone. That's for sure. They're not making like, you know, club music. That's not. They're not trying to make a hit. Like, that's not what they're trying to do. They're doing experimental, forward thinking hip hop. It's exactly what I'm into. It's the shit I enjoy. Pushing the boundaries of what hip hop is and sampling, and I mean, some of those sample flips they're
crazy,
gnarly, like crazy shit. Yeah, I love it.
I mean, but still, like, where would okay? I look at someone like Playboy Cardi, right?
Yes.
And I will say his shit's a lot more accessible than theirs.
Yeah.
But even his shit's still not the most accessible. And I think
for the most part, the difference. Are you talking about like what the difference between like a Playboy is and like JPEG? Because like the difference
I think
is,
there's a lot more dynamics that plays in the Playboys thing. I think his.
Did you hear that dude got arrested who leaked that video of Playboy
there's a video of Playboy. What?
doing like ad libs in the studio?
Oh, really?
You didn't see it?
I saw
It
the
was, like,
video.
fucking huge. Yeah, the guy who like leaked it got arrested apparently.
Good. All leakers should fucking get arrested. They keep leaking music, and that's why we don't get albums. Just dumbasses. Literally, this probably pushed back Playboy's Cardi's out because like 24 songs leaked. The Playboy Cardi's, I think.
Damn. Really?
Yeah, like a whole album leaked. And yeah, and the producer, I saw one of the producers on Instagram was like, I'm glad, y'all better be glad this happened because like y'all aren't getting music for a long time now. So it's the same thing that happened with Whole Lotta Red.
So this is recent, the 24.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Like, that's
Bro.
what happened with Trippie Redd.
This is what I'm trying to figure. How does this be happening, bro? Like, okay, I get hackers and shit, but what are these niggas doing, bro? I feel like it'd be the same motherfuckers getting hacked all the time.
Dude, if your iCloud gets hacked, think of all the files you have on your files app. That's all your shit.
It's not even just that, dude. It's like some people allow people in.
Yeah.
It could be just a friend of theirs not paying attention and it's on their phone. There's people where like if they leave the room, they can just walk in with a fucking hard drive, like the staff engineer or some shit. Be like, yo, I just got Playboy Cardi's thing. Give me $10K. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I follow a lot of like Yay subreddits and like group buys. That's a thing. Group buys, like literally people put money in so people will leak songs. They'll put $10K in for a leaked Kanye song that people have been wanting for a long time. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a huge problem in hip hop that like needs to be solved. I think a lot of it has to do with there being 20 dudes in the studio sometimes, and you don't know who, like, anyone in that room could get the song.
I think it's just it's a problem. I don't know how that. I'm not too familiar with coding and hacking and shit, so I don't know. It might be something you can't combat. I don't really know, but I feel like there are certain precautions you could take to not have your shit getting leaked like that all the fucking time. It's just 24 songs, crazy.
Yeah,
there's some shit about Michael Jackson's like over 50 gigs or some shit of his being hacked and
like
leaked or
I
something.
saw something on Prince where he's got a vault.
Yeah, he does.
Like with fucking shelves like
Yes.
bookshelves of just records.
Records and
I'm surprised they haven't really released anything yet. I think they did. They released
No,
one
they've been
thing,
releasing things. They have.
which that's why he did it, right? So he could,
What, the vault?
yeah.
He just created, dude.
Yeah, he just
Every
created.
single minute of the day, he was making something.
That's my goal. I would love to have a creative vault, that many songs. I mean, it's just like, yeah, he would just write and create. And then, that whole thing he had with being a slave to Warner and shit. He got out of that. Then he owned his masters. He just kept recording and stacking songs up. I don't think he ever really intended to open that vault to the public. I don't think that was what Prince ever intended. But they got it open, and yeah, they're just repurposing a lot of albums and releasing them. That's why a lot of this shit's been going up on Spotify for the longest. None of Prince's shit was on Spotify. It only had Purple Rain and a couple of his other albums, not everything. They're
I think
Crystal Ball, all this out of print shit and stuff. It's available now.
I think that stuff is very cool if labels don't touch it. If they just release it as a demo album, that's cool to me. But when they start touching it up and make modernizing stuff, they did that a lot with MJ. A lot of his verses and stuff get put on a Drake song or something. I was like, what? This is crazy. So yeah, I don't know. Leaking definitely is an issue. I don't really know how you solve it either. I guess people just being more protective of what they make.
I think the interesting thing with a person like Prince, though, a lot of those things in his vault were, because he comes from a different era of music, so it's kind of hard to leak tapes and fucking cassettes and things like that. You just literally have to steal them and then transfer them over and shit.
This stuff, I don't know how you can do that. Even in the early days, there weren't really leaks.
Yeah.
It wasn't until technology became...
Yeah, that's more of this kind of era thing.
Yeah, wasn't the trippy one they were basically holding him ransom?
That's
all
why,
his accounts and
the mixes
everything?
sucked and all that stuff. Apparently he's getting them remixed and all that.
What
so the quality will be better.
Mansion music thing he just dropped?
Yeah.
I
He
doubt.
went on Zane. I never remember the dude's name.
Zane.
Zane Lowe?
Yeah, he
Beats
was
One.
kind of explaining that after that project came out, that hackers snagged it and were they just released the demo of the Travis Scott song on that project. It wasn't mixed at all apparently.
That does make sense. Why? It sounded unfinished. It sounded not good.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. Even if that project gets mixed, bro, it's still not gonna change my opinion on it.
Yeah, I don't really.
It's just not good.
Yeah, I don't think the
Mixes
songs
don't
are really
really
there.
determine the vibe. Or
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
song.
determine the vibe. Yeah, it would. If anything, it would just make the shitty vibe clearer.
That's what's annoying to me. Whenever it's just it'll be better when it's mixed. It's nah, bro. It's just gonna be cleaner shit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So yeah, good luck with that, bro. We're not making this episode about Tricky.
Yeah, but back to JPEG. I think the difference is between someone like Playboy and JPEG is JPEG's definitely more on the underground side of things. He hates when you compare him to Death Grips, but it's really one of the only comparisons you can make when it comes to experimental hip hop that sounds like this. It's inevitable that it's going to be Death Grips. I hate even saying that because I know how much he hates it, but what else? What else am I going to compare it to? There's really nothing else that sounds like this shit other than Death Grips. So I do think he does it in his own way. That it's not derivative. It's still his his
exists
own
in that world.
Yeah, and it's not like Peggy can't write a hit. He can. He has hook game, hard. And he can sing, too. A lot of his shit on the last album was,
it was
more sing-songy.
Which I fuck with that album.
Yeah, that album is hard. I think he could do whatever he wanted, but he likes making shit like this.
He likes that pocket easy.
Yeah, because I think it's very forward-thinking. He's using old methods, but...
I think in the world he lives in, too, it's a lot less pressure. I feel like he's just free.
He's making what he wants to make. This is truly what he wants to make.
Yeah.
And I love that shit. I love hearing an unadulterated version of what you want to make. And that is definitely him. That's why I love... And even if sometimes some of the stuff doesn't hit me like it should, some of the stuff on his older albums, I feel like it's a little too self-indulgent, but like if that's what he's wanting to make that, and like if he has an audience and stuff and he can tour and support him, that's awesome. So I respect JPEG Mafia. And there's like a small part of me that thinks like he could hit more of a mainstream because he's super charismatic too and funny. And he's kind of like one of those always online guys. Like he's like chronically online. So,
Yeah.
I hear he has a pretty dedicated Reddit.
oh yeah, dude. Like hardcore fan base.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around for some years now.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
You know, I'm not going to lie and be like, oh, yeah, I've been on the train. Hell, I don't even know if I'm on it, like, to be honest. But
First time I heard him was like a long time ago. He did a Call Me Maybe remix, the Carly Rae Jepsen song.
really,
And he did it in like a really weird, like auto-tune soaked, like kind of like cloud rappy weird thing. And it is hard as shit. And that's the first time I heard him. And
It
then,
actually sounds vaguely familiar.
yeah.
I'm not familiar with JPEG at all.
He, my favorite of his is probably Veteran. I think it strikes like the perfect balance of experimental and catchy and like hard. Like all this shit is hard to me, but that one strikes a really good balance. His early shit, like the Black Ben Carson shit, that
yeah.
super hard, but like I get why people wouldn't like it. It's very out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I feel he
Also,
exists
calling
in,
yourself the Black Ben Carson is the funniest thing ever. It's so funny.
he exists in an interesting space. I mean, even his production and shit is just that of his own world. I feel it confines him. I feel it's interesting about him because, yeah, I feel he doesn't have any pressure or doesn't feel like he has to confine himself to something due to mainstream. But I also feel like at the same time he is limiting and confining himself by what he does, but he's okay with that. And that's fine.
And I think if he wants to break out, I think he's already broke out of that mold with the last album. Like, most of that album is not, it's like some experimental R&B shit. It's not even like the hardcore, like industrial rap shit that is made up mostly on this album and Veteran. Like, most of that album is like weird sing-songy R&B shit with, it's cool. So I think he is one of those guys that he can be as big as he wanted to be.
Do you feel there's any... That's why I asked his impact on the culture question, because...
Thank you.
Oh, we're good, bro. These mics ain't about to pick that noise up like that. But, yeah, I asked that question. I'm just curious on what artists are influenced by him. Who do you hear? Because I hear so many people influenced by, like, Playboy.
Guys like Red Veil, who's featured on this project. Guys like Red Veil for sure.
But Red Veil is not as anywhere near as eclectic. I think he exists very much in like a soul hip hop kind of sample.
Yeah,
world.
but his shit kind of lives in that world. It's a little more out there. It's not like the mixes aren't clean.
The mixes aren't clean. That's very true.
Like it's very homegrown. Like
Which seems
that
to be
kind
the
of shit.
aesthetic of a lot of that musical style and shit.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't. There's not that many people. There are a lot of people making music like this, but not that we know of.
Yeah, not too many. No, not too many. Because
Yeah.
as I digested this project, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is some other shit.
Yeah, like
There's some other shit.
if you're into Death Grips, if you're in the
Almost
like that.
Other shit to a degree.
clipping is
This is
another
how
one.
I know when some shit is some other shit to me musically when I'm in my music mind. When I start questioning how they did something musically, I'm like, how the fuck did he do that? Like the shit.
Oh
sounds-
yeah,
there was a lot of that going on. With
I
this
get that a
project.
lot.
Yeah, like how did he do those drums like that?
And that's
Or,
like my
what is that?
favorite shit too.
Yeah.
That's like the shit that really connects with me is the stuff where I'm like, how the fuck did he do that? That is crazy. Oh yeah, and
Because even some of these songs on here, I'm listening to it. I'm like, is this shit set to a grid? Is this like a true tempo to like he's rapping at a certain tempo or something, but the cuts and breaks and shit are just all over the place.
Very glitchy. Yeah.
Very glitchy, very weird, like very disorienting. It's very strange. But whatever's going on in his mind, he seems to have a grasp of it. Danny Brown seems to have a grasp of it too. He was able to come in there, find his pockets, and the mixing is weird.
Yeah.
But you said something about JPEG. He's going to be working on some of the mixes.
Yeah, I noticed on the lean beef patty, that one sounds a lot better than the
Shouts
single
out
version.
Lean Beef Patty, by the way, the actual person Lean Beef Patty. For those who don't know, she's this beautiful fucking fitness chick. Lean
Yeah.
Beef Patty.
Who's this person?
Lean Beef Patty.
Yeah.
YouTuber.
Yeah, she's like this YouTuber fitness girl.
He's lean beef patty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she is built.
Yeah.
She is a staple. Like,
She wears them glasses. I like that. I like me a girl with some glasses.
yeah. Yeah, but overall, I'm really digging it. Based on first listen, I'm like an 8 or 9. Like, this is exactly up my alley. So, and I would never.
Give it a 9.
Fuck.
Yeah, dude.
I'm not even there yet with a rating. I have
And I know it's that because Lean Beef Patty, when it the night it came out, I listened to it and I was like, it's cool, but like now when it comes on, I'm like, it's hard as fuck. Like this stuff takes time. Like it's not.
It definitely takes time.
It's not a first listen kind of thing but once it clicks, you start to understand like he makes hooks out of stuff that aren't hooks. Like he makes hooks with production, and you wait for certain parts in a song where something happens where it like gives you that rush of like, damn, how the fuck did he do that? Like that's what I like with this shit. And I know how pretentious that sounds. It sounds fucking pretentious as hell, but like I can't explain it. I can't explain why I like what I like. Like, you know what I mean,
bro? I'm not saying your rating is wrong. You're entitled to that. I'm still trying to break down what the fuck I heard, bro.
Yeah,
And I
think it helps that
for you to say 8, 9 just so drastically, and I can't even make out what I've heard yet. Maybe that's why it takes me aback. Maybe I'm just like, okay.
And if you had heard his previous projects before the last one, you would get it. Like, and I'm not saying you would get it, like you have to understand it, but like it would make more sense to you, the production and shit, because this is just an extension of what he's already been doing. This is very similar to his other stuff.
So I just need to have me a deep delve.
Yeah, and someone who respects producing, like you will absolutely love this shit. Like it. And if you're not into like harder hitting stuff, then you might not like it in general. You might never click with you. It might never click with you. But if you're like into some harder hitting hip hop, like if you like Playboi Carti, I think you will like this shit eventually. Maybe not first listen, but once a little hooky part of production catches your ear, it starts making more sense.
I'm not against it. I like the last album. I also like the EP he dropped before that album.
Yes. That's actually one of my favorite things he's ever done is that tiny little EP.
Yeah, some cool shit on that.
EP is so good.
No, I'm not against. I think he makes some great stuff. I think this particular one I'm just kind of digesting. I think the thing for me with JPEG, I haven't delved too much into his earlier stuff, and I think around the time I did actually get into listening would have been that EP in his last album. So that's what I'm going off of. Yeah. And this shit here is just...
And this is
really
very different from that stuff.
Yeah, it's really
That is like an outlier in his discography for the most part. The rest is pretty similar to this stuff.
To this
just
kind of stuff.
hard-hitting,
Gotcha.
experimental, industrial shit.
I mean, so where does this leave you with Danny Brown on this? I feel like we've talked a lot more about JPEG, but this is obviously a collaboration.
Yeah, Danny Brown did his thing. He exactly what I thought it was going to be. Like, and that's maybe my one complaint with it is I wasn't surprised by anything. And with projects like this, sometimes I like to just be hit with something out of left field more than what I think the left field is going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, and it's very equal distribution on it too. They're both on it a pretty equal amount. Like,
I feel like there's a couple songs where Danny Brown didn't really pop up at all.
maybe, yeah. And I mean, the mixes are so weird and like it's not for everyone. I'm not gonna sit here and
Yeah,
act
it's
like
a
it's
very
for
the
everyone.
mixes are weird. I feel like there's a lot of high end shit going on that needs to
Yeah.
be tamed in that motherfucker. But
And
if
apparently
that's
he
the way
made it
wants to
all
be-
with one machine. He made it all off one beat machine.
yeah, the SP1200.
Yeah.
Now that hold up. Okay. Actually, no, I do have a new respect for this album because I know what an SP1200 is, and that's primitive fucking. That's primitive sampler. That's a primitive sampler compared to the shit we have today.
Yeah.
Like Goff be using the SP1200 and shit. It's like a big ass fucking.
We should put up a picture on.
Yeah, I'll
on the
put a
thing.
picture up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Assuming that's extremely difficult to do this.
oh,
wait a
yeah.
second.
Yeah. Yeah. Extremely difficult.
Hold on, wait a
Um,
second.
And he wanted to prove that he could do it on one machine, and he proved it. That
Does he produce his own shit?
everything. He mixes it.
This is
masters
the
it.
SP1200, bro. This is old ass box. Now I'm impressed by that. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, that thing.
Because you were very limited on a. Oh wait, oh shit. You were very limited on an SP1200. This is like some 90s, 80s sampler gear. You got to put floppy disk in them, I believe.
And he's making stuff that sounds like otherworldly. Like it sounds like it. And who knows? He definitely had to do some like post processing
Well, I
shit
mean,
with like.
I don't know how that works, but like there's like heavy bass in there, which he could have been playing on like a Prophet or something that went into that.
Went
or
into it,
some
yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's more so what he meant. He put all his shit through it and made it on this.
So it had that.
He used this as his DAW.
Yeah. Had that sound.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, actually. I'm gonna have to, yes, do from what I've heard, and knowing that he made that shit on the SP1200, I'm gonna have to give this album at least a 7.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
And I think this is one of those projects that the more you listen to it, the more it'll click with you. It happened with Veteran. I didn't really like Veteran that much the first time I listened to it, but that's one of like my favorite hip hop albums ever. So, yeah, it'll click if it clicks. If you're into harder hitting shit, you're gonna like it. Yeah.
Wow. Damn, I forget man, that's blowing me away right now. Damn, he did that on the SP1200, bro. I'm really impressed right now. That's all right, bro. All right, JPEG.
Oh, I think JPEGMAFIA is like the best producer in hip hop right now, and I think if he wanted to make, he could make whatever he wants. He's just choosing to make crazy shit like this. Like he understands song structure. He loves pop music. Like he gets it. JPEG's a shit.
I'll have to dive deeper into him.
Yeah.
I only listened to like less than half of this so far, but it
Yeah.
is very interesting for
Man.
a first time really diving into JPEG.
There is a song he did on his last project. I forget the name, but it flips a Britney Spears. He does like an interpolation of a Britney Spears song, and it's such a good hook. Like, but he works it in so effortlessly. I love that song. But
Yeah, he seems like a very cool guy too.
oh yeah, he's the shit.
JPEG, if you ever want to come on the pod, bro, you're welcome, bro.
Oh, absolutely. Please, that'd be great.
You know, he just seems like a cool bro.
I promise I will not compare you to Death Grips ever.
You ain't got to worry about that because I don't know shit about Def Grips. I'm still not listening to a Def Grips album.
Me neither.
Other than the like 2 songs I've heard you play on around. I had this coworker at shouts out Ed Schwinsky.
Shout out Ed Swinsky.
Well, he was like this fucking older guy when I worked at Forever Young, but he would always like fuck with me and be like, yeah, I don't know what he had this thing about Def Grips. He would just always be like, yeah, man, like Def Grips your favorite band, isn't it? It's your favorite band. It's like you buy the new Def Grip. I'm like, no, dude, I didn't buy the fucking new. I don't know why he would always fuck with me about that. He would just always be like, oh man, you love Def Grips, don't you? I'm like, no, I don't. I've never fucking listened to Def Grips. But a lot of kids would like buy that Money Store record and shit at the time I was working there. Which, I mean, Money Store came out still like 3-4 years before I was even working at the record store, but people would come back and buy that shit and their other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
so
Money Store is like a perfect album to me.
obviously there's some kind of impact on the culture from Def Grips and the things that they make. And yeah, I mean, that's cool.
I would literally put them in the top 5 most influential artists of the 2010s. The reason hip hop is so hard is because of Death Grips. The way shit is hitting now is because of Death Grips, guaranteed.
In what context are we talking? Because are we talking like trap?
I think most of it comes from X, and X was a big Death Grips fan. And
Honestly, bro, I believe a lot of the shit come from 90s Memphis.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
90s Memphis is literally what we're in today, just modernized.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
just
for sure.
chatting with someone the other day at a client in the studio, and we were talking about like, what is it, 3-6 Mafia and a bunch of Memphis artists and how impactful Memphis has been, but like doesn't get any recognition.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's bro. If you go back and listen to 90s Memphis hip hop, it sounds just like the trap music of today. Fast
really
hi-hats,
does.
808s, the same kind of snares and shit, samples like that. I swear to God. I mean, it's just a little bit more polished and clean today, a little bit better arrangements and shit, different flows and stuff now. But I feel like the sound we have today, like with the hi-hats and like snares and shit, I think that comes from 90s Memphis. I think that's that. You can add things like Death Grips and shit on top of it, where we get these, really gritty and like heavy hitting distorted things and shit. I think that amplifies what that was, but I think it really stems from that time period.
Yeah, I would definitely put them in there too. I think a lot how prevalent distorted bass has become is 100% because of Death Grips.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think a lot of it is because of Kanye. But Kanye, he says he had never heard it. I 100% call bullshit on that. Yeezus has to be influenced by Death Grips. If it's not, that is one of the craziest music anomalies ever.
He was working with Geseffelstein and all them, and he was in that world.
Yeah. Like, there's no way Kanye did not hear Money Store before. Yeezus.
Maybe. Yeah, he could be lying, but to play devil's advocate, maybe like Geseffelstein and all those guys, maybe they knew about Death Grips or something. And the shit they were making just bled through into that, and Kanye just liked it.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at Geseffelstein's album around that time, it's like a similar artwork. It's like a CD in a clear case.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure he influenced quite a lot of it.
Yeah. His songs, that Casey Pluto guy did a tape with him where it's like all produced by just how do you say
Geseffelstein.
Geseffelstein? Yeah, that shit's crazy.
He's like
He's
an
a
analog
shit.
genius.
Yeah. But overall, I'm digging it. I love the album. I'm probably gonna listen to it a lot. Probably gonna be one of my top played things of the year.
Whatcha?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. And once again, man, just want to start out my prayers and condolences, man, of all the victims today. Once again. Yeah. So this has been another episode of MC2MC. It's your dude Superb.
Oh, Tom. Davey Messel.
And we'll catch you on next week's episode. Peace.